little guy right here is called scorzonera, also known as black salsify, and I guess some people use for eating or for. I don't think it has medicinal benefit.
And that is roasted sunchokes. It's a member of the sunflower family, and it's a tuber root that grows horizontally for all you botanic nerds out there.
When America faced its darkest economic crisis, families didn't survive on luck. They survived on 25 forgotten crops that most people today have never heard of. These weren't ordinary vegetables, but extraordinary plants that could grow in poor soil, store for months, and feed families when everything else failed. Let's uncover the lost crops that kept America alive during the Great Depression. Skirret, the sweet underground treasure. Long before carrots dominated American gardens, skirret provided families with clusters of sweet white roots that tasted like marshmallow-flavored parsnips. This remarkable perennial had been sustaining Europeans for centuries, and during the Great Depression, it became a secret weapon for families who knew how to grow it. What made skirret absolutely invaluable during the Depression was its perennial nature. Unlike annual crops that required replanting every year, skirret returned on its own, growing stronger and producing more roots each season. This meant families could plant it once and harvest food year after year without buying new seeds. The sweetness of skirret roots made them particularly precious when sugar was too expensive for most families to afford. These pencil-thin white roots contained natural sugars that satisfied cravings and provided energy for hard-working family members. Children especially loved these naturally sweet treats that could be eaten raw or cooked. Depression-era families learned that skirret thrived in poor soil where other crops might fail. While neighbors struggled with failed gardens, families growing skirret could count on reliable harvests from even the most challenging growing conditions. This resilience made it perfect for families who couldn't afford fertilizers or soil improvements. The harvesting method for skirret was particularly advantageous during hard times. The roots could be dug as needed throughout fall and winter, using the ground as natural cold storage. This meant fresh food was available even when root cellars were empty and preserved foods had been consumed. Cooking skirret was remarkably versatile. The roots could be boiled like potatoes, roasted until caramelized, or even ground into flour when wheat was scarce. Some families would dry and grind skirret roots to create a sweet flour substitute that added natural sweetness to bread and cakes. The propagation of skirret required no special skills or equipment. Established plants would naturally spread through underground runners, creating new plants that could be divided and shared with neighbors. This community aspect made skirret particularly valuable during times when cooperation meant survival. King Henry IV had special gardens dedicated to growing skirret, showing that even royalty recognized its exceptional value. Today, this forgotten crop represents the type of reliable, sustainable food production that helped families thrive during America's most challenging economic period. Mangelwurzel, the giant survival root. During the Great Depression, when families needed crops that could produce massive amounts of food from minimal garden space, Mangelwurzel delivered roots so large they could weigh up to 20 pounds each. These giant yellow beetroots, also called scarcity roots, lived up to their name by providing food when everything else was scarce. What made Mangelwurzel absolutely essential for Depression-era families was its incredible productivity. A single plant could produce enough food to feed a family for days, and just a few plants could provide substantial nutrition throughout winter. This efficiency was crucial when every square foot of garden space had to produce maximum calories. The storage capabilities of Mangelwurzel made it invaluable for long-term food security. These massive roots could be stored for months in cool, dry conditions, providing fresh food well into spring when new gardens were just being planted. Unlike other vegetables that spoiled quickly, Mangelwurzel maintained its nutritional value throughout extended storage periods. Depression-era families discovered that Mangelwurzel could grow in poor soil that would defeat other crops. During the Dust Bowl and other agricultural disasters, when good topsoil was scarce, these hardy plants continued producing food. This reliability made them essential backup crops when primary food sources failed. The dual-purpose nature of mangel wurzel maximized its value during hard times. Both the massive roots and large leaves were edible, giving families two vegetables from one plant. The leaves could be cooked like spinach, while the roots provided filling, nutritious meals that satisfied hunger. The preparation methods for mangel wurzel were remarkably diverse. Young roots could be eaten raw like regular beets, while mature roots were excellent when baked, boiled, or mashed like potatoes. Some families even learned to ferment mangel wurzel into alcoholic beverages, providing comfort during difficult times. The high sugar content of mangel wurzel made it particularly valuable when other sweeteners were unavailable. Families could cook down the roots to concentrate their natural sugars, creating syrups that sweetened other foods and provided quick energy for physical labor. One historical account mentioned growing mangel wurzel alongside potatoes, cabbage, parsnips, carrots, and onions in workhouse gardens, showing how essential this crop was for feeding large groups of people during economic hardship. Good King Henry, the all-season survivor. When Depression-era families needed vegetables that would produce food from early spring through late fall, Good King Henry proved itself as the ultimate all-season survivor. This remarkable perennial green emerged from winter soil before anything else, providing fresh food when families were most desperate for vitamins after long months of preserved foods. What made Good King Henry absolutely indispensable during the Great Depression was its incredible longevity and productivity. Named after a benevolent German king, this plant could produce food for decades from a single planting, returning stronger each year while requiring minimal care or resources. The early emergence of Good King Henry made it particularly valuable during the hunger gap of late winter and early spring. When stored foods were running low and new crops hadn't yet matured, families could harvest fresh shoots and leaves that provided essential vitamins and helped prevent scurvy and other deficiency diseases. Depression-era families learned to harvest Good King Henry in multiple ways throughout the growing season. The young shoots could be cut and cooked like asparagus in early spring, while the arrow-shaped leaves provided continuous greens throughout summer and fall. Even the flower buds could be eaten, extending the harvest season. The soil improvement qualities of Good King Henry made it valuable beyond just food production. Like other hardy perennials, it helped break up compacted soil and added organic matter, improving growing conditions for other crops. This soil-building aspect was crucial for families trying to maximize garden productivity. The nutritional density of Good King Henry rivaled that of modern superfoods. Rich in vitamins A and C plus iron and other essential minerals, it provided concentrated nutrition when other vitamin sources were expensive or unavailable. This nutritional power helped families maintain health during stressful times. The preservation methods for Good King Henry allowed families to extend its benefits throughout the year. Young leaves could be dried for winter seasoning, while larger leaves could be blanched and preserved like other greens. This preservation capability meant year-round access to its nutritional benefits. The self-seeding nature of Good King Henry ensured continuous supplies without replanting. Established plants would spread naturally, creating patches that could feed families for generations without additional seed purchases or garden preparation. Scorzonera, the black-rooted medicine. During the Great Depression, when families needed crops that could serve as both food and medicine, Scorzonera provided both with its distinctive black-skinned roots that hid creamy white flesh underneath. This unusual root vegetable became known as black salsify and offered families a reliable source of nutrition and natural remedies. What made Scorzonera particularly valuable to Depression-era families was its incredible winter hardiness. These roots could stay in the ground through harsh freezes, providing fresh food when nothing else would grow. This winter availability was crucial for families who had exhausted their stored foods before spring arrived. The medicinal properties of scorzonera made it doubly valuable when professional medical care was too expensive for most families. Medieval doctors had prescribed it for treating snake bites and plague symptoms, and Depression-era families used it for purifying blood and strengthening the heart during stressful times. The flavor profile of scorzonera set it apart from other root vegetables. The creamy white flesh had an oyster-like taste that reminded families of more expensive foods they could no longer afford. This unique flavor helped break the monotony of survival foods while providing psychological comfort. Depression-era families learned that scorzonera roots could grow up to 3 feet long, providing substantial food from each plant. This size efficiency was crucial when garden space was limited and every plant had to produce maximum nutrition. The large roots could feed entire families for multiple meals. The storage capabilities of scorzonera extended its usefulness well beyond the growing season. Properly stored roots could last for months in cool conditions, providing fresh vegetables when other storage crops had been consumed. This extended availability helped bridge the gap between growing seasons. The complete usability of scorzonera plants maximized their value during hard times. The roots provided filling meals, the leaves could be eaten in salads, and the bright yellow flowers added beauty to otherwise stark Depression-era gardens. This multi-purpose nature made every plant incredibly valuable. The cultivation requirements for scorzonera were minimal, making it perfect for families with limited gardening resources. These hardy plants thrived in poor soil and required little care, yet still produced reliable harvests even under challenging growing conditions that would defeat more demanding crops. Jerusalem artichokes, the Native American gift. Long before the Great Depression, Native Americans had cultivated Jerusalem artichokes as a reliable food source that European settlers would later depend on for survival. During the 1930s, these knobby tubers proved their worth once again, providing families with a perennial crop that returned year after year without replanting. What made Jerusalem artichokes absolutely revolutionary for Depression-era families was their self-propagating nature. Once planted, these remarkable tubers would spread underground, creating new plants that produced increasingly larger harvests each season. This meant families could plant them once and have expanding food supplies for years to come. The drought tolerance of Jerusalem artichokes made them particularly valuable during the Dust Bowl years when rainfall was scarce and other crops failed. Their deep root systems could find moisture that other plants couldn't reach, ensuring food production even during the most challenging growing conditions. The nutritional profile of Jerusalem artichokes provided exactly what Depression-era families needed most. Rich in inulin, a natural form of sugar that provided sustained energy, these tubers helped hard-working families maintain their strength during physically demanding times when other energy sources were expensive or unavailable. Depression-era families discovered that Jerusalem artichokes could be harvested throughout the winter months. The tubers stayed fresh in the ground even through freezing temperatures, allowing families to dig fresh food whenever they needed it. This underground storage system eliminated the need for root cellars or special preservation equipment. The cooking versatility of Jerusalem artichokes made them incredibly valuable in Depression-era kitchens. They could be eaten raw like apples, boiled like potatoes, roasted for sweetness, or even pickled for preservation. Some families learned to slice and dry them, creating chips that provided quick energy for working family members. The medicinal uses of Jerusalem artichokes added another layer of value during times when medical care was unaffordable. Native Americans had used them to treat diabetes and digestive problems, knowledge that proved valuable for Depression-era families dealing with stress-related health issues. The community aspect of Jerusalem artichokes made them particularly important during the Depression. Families could easily share tubers with neighbors, helping spread this valuable crop throughout communities where cooperation and mutual aid meant the difference between survival and starvation. Orache, the heat-proof spinach. When Depression-era families needed greens that could survive scorching summer temperatures that wilted other vegetables, Orache provided the solution. This remarkable plant, also called mountain spinach, thrived in heat that would destroy regular spinach and lettuce, ensuring fresh greens throughout the hottest months. What made Orache absolutely essential during the Great Depression was its incredible heat resistance. While other leafy greens gave up during summer heat waves, Orache continued producing tender leaves that could be harvested continuously. This reliability meant families had fresh vegetables even during the most challenging growing conditions. The rapid growth of Orache made it perfect for families who needed fresh food quickly. From seed to harvest took only a few weeks, and successive plantings could provide continuous supplies of fresh greens throughout the growing season. This quick turnaround was crucial when families couldn't wait for slower crops to mature. Depression-era families valued Orache for its complete usability. The tender leaves could be eaten raw in salads or cooked like spinach, while the seeds could be ground into flour when wheat was scarce. This dual-purpose nature meant families got multiple types of food from a single crop. The colorful varieties of Orache added both nutrition and beauty to Depression-era gardens. Different varieties produced leaves in shades of red, yellow, and green, providing visual variety that lifted spirits during difficult times. Medieval manuscripts often featured Orache's distinctive colored leaves in decorative borders, showing its cultural importance. The drought tolerance of Orache made it particularly valuable during the Dust Bowl years. These hardy plants could survive with minimal water while still producing nutritious leaves. This resilience was crucial for families dealing with failed wells and limited water resources. The nutritional density of Orache rivaled that of modern superfoods. Rich in vitamins A and C, plus essential minerals, it provided concentrated nutrition that helped prevent deficiency diseases common during times of poor nutrition. This health protection was invaluable when medical care was unaffordable. The self-seeding nature of Orache ensured continuous supplies without replanting. Plants that were allowed to go to seed would produce new plants the following season, creating sustainable food systems that required minimal input but provided maximum nutrition for struggling families. Cardoon, the silvery giant. During the Great Depression, when families needed crops that could provide substantial food from impressive plants, cardoon delivered with its dramatic silvery blue leaves that could grow up to 6 feet tall. This architectural plant, closely related to artichokes, became a striking addition to gardens while providing multiple types of food. What made cardoon particularly valuable to Depression-era families was its complete usability. The thick stalks could be blanched and eaten like celery, the flower buds could be prepared like artichokes, and the flowers themselves produced enzymes that were essential for cheese making when families kept milk cows or goats. The impressive size of cardoon plants made them efficient producers in small garden spaces. Each plant could provide dozens of meals throughout the growing season, and the dramatic appearance added beauty to otherwise utilitarian Depression-era gardens. This combination of function and beauty was important for maintaining family morale. Depression-era families learned the traditional blanching techniques that made cardoon stalks tender and mild-flavored. By wrapping the stalks in burlap or newspapers several weeks before harvest, families could create tender vegetables with a delicate artichoke flavor that reminded them of better times. The monastery gardens of Europe had particularly favored cardoon, and this knowledge proved valuable for American families seeking reliable food sources. The techniques developed by European gardeners for growing and preparing cardoon helped families maximize both yields and flavor from these impressive plants. The preservation methods for cardoon allowed families to extend its benefits throughout the year. The stalks could be blanched and canned, while the flowers could be dried and saved for cheese making. This preservation capability meant year-round access to both food and important food processing aids. The soil improvement qualities of cardoon made it valuable beyond just food production. The large plants with extensive root systems helped break up compacted soil while adding substantial organic matter when composted. This soil building aspect improved growing conditions for other crops. The medicinal uses of cardoon added another layer of value during times when medical care was expensive. Traditional healers had used various parts of the plant for treating liver problems and other ailments, providing families with natural remedies when pharmaceutical medicines were unaffordable. Alexander's, the conqueror's legacy. When Roman legions conquered territories across Europe, they carried seeds of Alexander's wherever they went, establishing this versatile herb-vegetable that would later help families survive the Great Depression. Every part of the plant, leaves, stems, roots, flowers, and black seeds, found its way into survival kitchens. What made Alexander's absolutely invaluable during the Depression was its complete edibility. Unlike other plants that provided only one type of food, Alexander's gave families multiple ingredients from a single plant. The young leaves could be used in salads, the stems cooked like celery, and the roots prepared like parsnips. The coastal tolerance of Alexander's made it particularly valuable for families living near shorelines where salt spray would kill other vegetables. These hardy plants thrived in areas where few other food crops could survive, turning otherwise unusable land into productive garden space that could feed families. The unique flavor profile of Alexander's provided welcome variety during monotonous Depression-era meals, combining tastes reminiscent of celery, parsley, and myrrh. This plant could transform simple soups and stews into more complex, satisfying meals that helped maintain family morale during difficult times. Depression-era families learned to use Alexander's throughout the growing season. Early spring brought tender young leaves, summer provided thick stems for cooking, and fall offered roots and seeds for storage. This extended harvest season meant continuous food production from the same plants. The medicinal properties of Alexander's added value beyond mere nutrition. Traditional healers had used various parts of the plant for treating scurvy and other vitamin deficiency diseases common during times of poor nutrition. This medicinal aspect was crucial when professional medical care was beyond most families' reach. The self-seeding nature of Alexander's created sustainable food systems that required minimal maintenance. Plants that were allowed to flower and set seed would produce new plants the following season, ensuring continuous supplies without the need to purchase new seeds or replant gardens. The community value of Alexander's came from its abundance and ease of propagation. Families could easily share seeds and plants with neighbors, helping spread this valuable food source throughout communities where mutual aid and cooperation were essential for survival during America's most challenging economic period. Bistort, the celebration root. During the Great Depression, when families needed crops that could thrive in difficult conditions while providing both food and medicine, Bistort offered solutions with its twisted roots and nutritious leaves. This remarkable plant had sustained European communities for centuries, particularly in areas too wet for other crops. What made Bistort especially valuable to Depression-era families was its ability to grow in waterlogged soil, where other vegetables would fail. During years of unusual rainfall or in areas with poor drainage, Bistort continued producing food when other crops rotted. This adaptability was crucial for families who couldn't afford to lose entire harvests. The medicinal properties of Bistort made it doubly important when medical care was expensive or unavailable. The tannic roots had been used for centuries to treat dysentery and wounds, providing families with natural remedies during times when pharmaceutical medicines were beyond their reach. Depression-era families learned that beastort leaves formed the base of traditional Easter ledge pudding, a community celebration dish that marked winter's end. Even during the hardest times, families could gather wild beastort leaves, mix them with whatever grains and eggs they could find, and create communal meals that built community spirit. The distinctive twisted roots that gave beastort its name, meaning twice twisted, could be harvested and prepared in multiple ways. These roots provided filling, nutritious meals, while their medicinal properties helped families maintain health during stressful times when good nutrition was challenging to achieve. The ornamental value of beastort added beauty to Depression-era gardens through its pink flower spikes. During times when life felt hopeless, having beautiful plants that also provided food and medicine helped maintain psychological well-being that was essential for family survival. The perennial nature of beastort meant it returned year after year without replanting, providing reliable food and medicine for families who couldn't afford annual seed purchases. This long-term productivity was crucial for establishing sustainable food systems during extended economic hardship. The community gathering traditions associated with beastort helped maintain social connections during isolating times. Families would gather together to harvest wild beastort and prepare traditional dishes, maintaining cultural connections and mutual support systems that were essential for psychological survival during the Depression. Salsify, the poor man's oyster. When Depression-era families craved the luxury foods they could no longer afford, salsify provided an unexpected solution with its oyster-like flavor that earned it the nickname poor man's oyster. This remarkable root vegetable brought a taste of the sea to inland families who had no access to expensive seafood. What made salsify absolutely essential during the Great Depression was its ability to provide protein-rich nutrition with a flavor that reminded families of better times. When meat was scarce and expensive, seafood was impossible, salsify roots offered a satisfying alternative that helped maintain family morale through difficult periods. The reliability of salsify made it perfect for challenging growing conditions. These hardy plants thrived in poor soil that would defeat more demanding crops, ensuring families could grow food even when they couldn't afford soil improvements or fertilizers. This resilience was crucial for survival gardening. Depression-era families learned that salsify could be left in the ground through winter, using the earth as natural cold storage. When root cellars were empty and preserved foods had been consumed, families could still dig fresh salsify roots from frozen ground, providing nutrition when other food sources were exhausted. The versatility of salsify in Depression-era kitchens made it incredibly valuable. The roots could be boiled and mashed like potatoes, fried into crispy chips, or added to soups where their oyster flavor enhanced simple broths. Some families would slice and dry salsify roots for long-term storage. The dual-purpose nature of salsify maximized its value during hard times. Both the nutritious roots and tender young leaves were edible, giving families two vegetables from one plant. The leaves could be eaten raw in salads or cooked like spinach, providing vitamins throughout the growing season. The seed-saving tradition with salsify was particularly important since this vegetable wasn't commonly available commercially. Families who successfully grew salsify would carefully save seeds to ensure future crops, often sharing with neighbors to spread this valuable survival food throughout their communities. The psychological benefits of salsify's unique flavor helped families cope with the stress of survival eating, providing a reminder of abundance and luxury during times when such experiences seemed impossible to achieve. Lamb's Quarters, the iron-rich volunteer. During the Great Depression, nature provided families with one of their most valuable allies through lamb's quarters, a hardy plant that appeared on its own in gardens and vacant lots across America. This remarkable volunteer green packed more nutrition than many cultivated vegetables while requiring absolutely no care or resources to grow. What made lamb's quarters absolutely revolutionary for struggling families was its ability to appear spontaneously wherever soil had been disturbed. While families were trying to establish gardens with limited resources, lamb's quarters would emerge naturally, providing instant access to nutrient-dense food without any investment in seeds or planting. The nutritional superiority of lamb's quarters over common greens made it particularly valuable during times when vitamin deficiencies were common. Rich in iron, vitamins A and C, and essential minerals, this wild green provided concentrated nutrition that helped prevent scurvy, anemia, and other diseases caused by poor diet. Depression-era families learned to distinguish lamb's quarters from other wild plants and to harvest it throughout the growing season. The tender young leaves could be eaten raw in salads, while mature leaves were excellent when cooked like spinach. This versatility meant families could use it in multiple ways. The drought tolerance of lamb's quarters made it incredibly reliable during the Dust Bowl years. While cultivated crops withered in the heat and drought, lamb's quarters continued growing vigorously, providing green vegetables when everything else had failed. This resilience was literally life-saving for many families. The prolific nature of lamb's quarters ensured continuous supplies throughout the growing season. Plants would reseed themselves readily, creating ongoing sources of fresh greens without any effort from families already overwhelmed by survival challenges. This self-sustaining aspect was crucial during extended economic hardship. The complete usability of lamb's quarters maximized its value for hungry families. The tender leaves provided fresh eating, the seeds could be ground into flour when wheat was scarce, and even the young shoots could be harvested and prepared like asparagus. The community aspect of lamb's quarters knowledge was particularly important. Experienced foragers would teach others how to identify and use this valuable plant, spreading knowledge that could literally mean the difference between adequate nutrition and starvation during America's darkest economic period. Explain the omega-3 succulent. When Depression-era families needed vegetables that could survive the harsh, dry conditions of the Dust Bowl, purslane provided one of nature's most resilient solutions. This succulent weed with fleshy leaves thrived in conditions that would kill other plants, providing essential nutrition when families needed it most. What made purslane absolutely invaluable during the Great Depression was its incredible drought tolerance. While other vegetables withered and died during the severe droughts of the 1930s, purslane continued growing and producing food. This reliability was crucial for families who couldn't afford to lose entire crops to weather disasters. The nutritional density of purslane amazed anyone who understood its true value. Rich in omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin A, and vitamin C, this humble weed provided better nutrition than many expensive store-bought vegetables. This concentrated nutrition helped families maintain health during times when varied diets were impossible. Depression-era families learned to appreciate purslane's slightly sour, lemony flavor that could brighten otherwise bland survival meals. When food was monotonous and spirits were low, the bright taste of fresh purslane added welcome variety to meals consisting mainly of beans, potatoes, and preserved foods. The versatility of purslane in Depression-era kitchens made it incredibly valuable. It could be eaten fresh in salads, pickled for preservation, or cooked in stir-fries and soups. Some families would chop it and add it to whatever other ingredients they had, stretching meals while adding nutrition. The continuous harvest potential of purslane meant families could pick it throughout the growing season. Unlike crops that matured all at once, purslane provided ongoing supplies of fresh food as long as temperatures remained warm. This extended availability was crucial for families with limited food storage capabilities. The medicinal properties of purslane added another layer of value during times when medical care was unaffordable. Traditional healers had used purslane to treat various ailments, and families appreciated having access to natural remedies when pharmaceutical medicines were beyond their financial reach. Self-seeding nature of purslane ensured it would return each year without replanting, creating sustainable food sources that required no investment but provided reliable nutrition for families struggling to survive America's worst economic crisis.